You're listening to the Chronicles of Living podcast, where we talk to everyday people about everyday things in the past, present, and future. Now let's talk.
Switching to gear, let's go. As we climb up the hill, don't slow down. Pedal a little more. The mind is working, it's in control. Your wheels are turning a little more. Going higher, another notch. Keep it steady, don't watch the clock. Go round, round. Cycle, cycle.
Greetings. My visionary dreamers. How is everybody doing today? I miss y'all. I always miss y'all. This is Adionne, your dream pusher. Listen up.
We are learning, always turning. Later, cannot stop the time. Always merging into lanes that better suit us as we ride. Switch it up. Switching to gear, let's go. As we climb up the hill, don't slow down. Pedal a little more. The mind is working, it's in control. Your wheels are turning a little more. Going higher, another notch. Keep it steady, don't watch the clock. Go round, round. Cycle, cycle. Life is a cycle.
As I said, this is Adionne, your dream pusher, your lifeguard, saving you from yourself, from the world, from some real bullshit. And you're listening to Chronicles of Living podcast show, the show for everyday people doing everyday things, living everyday life. You know, us extraordinary folks doing the damn thing the best way we can. And today's topic is plain and simple. Show up for yourself. Show up for yourself. I don't even think that we think about that. And this topic actually was on my spirit since yesterday. It just popped up like, yeah, talk about that. And it just got stronger and stronger. And I'm like, okay, this is it. This is the topic for tomorrow. And thank God, Spirit didn't change his mind on me at the last minute. As sometimes, that happens. But yeah, we got to show up for ourselves. Break that cycle of always showing up for everybody else and then giving ourselves the leftovers. Giving us the leftover energy, which most of the time is depleted by the time we done gave everybody else ourselves. We wake up in the morning, get ready for your work, your career, driving your kids to school, whatever you do. You wake up every morning to do something for somebody else, majority of the time. You go out here and you work all these hours for someone else's dream and vision, which is great because you're working on your dream and vision, and you definitely want someone to wake up and come to work for you and help your dream and your vision go along the way that it's supposed to. But what I'm saying is, in life, we have to get to the point that we realize that it's a lot of distractions out here keeping us from showing up for ourselves, Now, when I did the show on New Year's, You Never Stop, I didn't break down. I always tell you that I've moved around a whole lot, over 20, sometimes might be up to 30. But I sat down and I just added up this last, say, 2 years. And I realized that happened because God was trying to get my attention to start showing up for myself in a different way. I thought that I was showing up for myself. Well, really, I was chasing money to pay the bills and, showing up for everybody else's stuff, whether it be friends or relationship, showing up for them more than I was showing up for me. And it's okay, the things that I showed up for, I would do it again. But the thing that I would do differently is I would show up for me more, you know? So when I look back, December 2015, I added up the times that I moved and how long I was at each place. And when I say move, I'm not talking about, I moved and just took a bag. No, me and my son physically moved furniture and everything. And 2015 December is when we left the house and put it up for sale. And then the next place we moved, we was there for about 5 months because of change of career. And then the next place we moved, we was there for 7 months. Then, if you listen back, you got to listen back to the shows because I don't want to do the whole show again. You got to listen to You Never Stop and some other shows I'll name. But then, after the 7 months, when the whole New York Life thing happened, I went into a shelter for 1 month. My son didn't go. I sent him somewhere else. But I went into a shelter for 1 month. And then after that, got myself together and moved into an apartment for 6 months. And then, as I was in that apartment, that's when I had time to reflect. It was my birthday last year, last March. And even before then, I knew that God was trying to show me something because I've never moved that many times in that short a time, So while I might have been talking to people and they were going through some things, I'm like, you're going through the same thing for the same amount of time. I've made all of these changes because it was a must. And through all of those changes, what I realized was, one, I was really strong. I am really strong. I mean, I knew that I was a strong individual, but to go through all of that in that short amount of time with just me and my son, it was like, man, he's strong, I'm strong. And I realized, like, for real, between my son and my mom, I was able to count on him. He showed up for me, and I always showed up for him. My mom, she's there, but I couldn't tell her about all those moves. She didn't even know. She didn't know until after I came out the shelter. So she missed probably like 3 of those moves, because I'm just a person that I just roll with the punches and do what I gotta do. But all of that was a distraction. It was so much noise going on. I'm focusing on, okay, I got to get my loot up. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I'm not realizing that God was trying to speak to me to tell me it's time for me to not be concerned about the money and things, And in order to get me to realize that he kept allowing me to be in these positions where I had to start over at a short time. And every place that we moved outside of the shelter, we had furniture. Some we kept and some I wound up having to get over again. So, excuse me, this last move before I came here to the Institute Retreat Center, on my birthday, I could remember telling people, but a couple of people that still are concerned about me. Because when you stop showing up for people that's used to you showing up, you'll notice your cell phone will stop ringing. People will stop checking on you. You know what I mean? The people that's been there, always calling you, checking on you, soon as you can't show up for them and you start showing up for yourself, you'll notice a drop in the population of friends. But understand, it's a good thing. So I decided, I just want to do me. I just want to celebrate my birthday by myself. I want to reflect on me. I want to show up for me today. I didn't want to do the party thing and all of this stuff. It's just sometimes we got to stop and reflect on us. Show up for us. Start looking back at our life, seeing where we are. Every day we're moving so much. There's so much going on that we don't even realize where we are. We don't even realize what we're doing. We don't even realize where we're going. We're just doing. That's it. We're just waking up every day and just doing what's in front of us, what's expected of us, instead of doing what we expect of ourselves. So when I said, I wanted to reflect on me, I went out, I brought me a nice little chocolate cake, brought me a bottle of wine, and I just relaxed and chilled. And then I started writing out my visions. I started writing in my journal. I started writing down the things that I accomplished throughout the years. I started thinking about, what did all those moves mean? What did I get out of it? Well, one, from the shelter, I realized my value again. Now, that might sound crazy. Being in a shelter, most people would be depressed. Most people would feel like, this is it. Oh my gosh, how am I going to get out of this? But I was just the opposite. I was like, okay, this is a situation right now. I'm just going to make the best of it. And I did what I had to do. And if you listen back to the other shows, You Never Stop, you'll know that the different jobs I wound up having to switch in the midst of all these moves because they were in totally different areas. But nevertheless, I had to show up for myself. I had to show up for my son. But this was the thing. The good thing was he was in college. So I didn't have to be as concerned about him like in the past when he was younger. And that was a great thing. So in that shelter, I realized my value because I realized how my words were my encouragement and motivation to the other people that was there were affecting them in a positive way. And, the fact that through my experience of moving and just having that mindset that you can do it mindset, some of those were affected in that way, and I was able to be an ear for them. So it kind of led up to this podcast show. And then after coming out of the shelter and then having to jump into, while I was in the shelter, having to jump into a nurse's aide job and having those different clients. And I told you in a few different podcast shows, if you've been following, the 96-year-old client kept telling me how I need to share my stories. So it's the crazy situations. If you pay attention and you start showing up for yourself, paying attention to yourself. And when I say yourself, pay attention to what your spirit is trying to tell you. You cut out the noise right where you are and listen. Your spirit will tell you the next steps to take. Your spirit will tell you how valuable you are, how worthy you are to have good things in your life, to not just deal with standard stuff, to not compromise. You're not showing up for yourself if you're compromising just to please everybody else. You're not showing up for yourself saying yes to people when you really want to say no. You're not showing up for yourself when you're accepting life and people in your life that's below your standards that you have for yourself. When you're just going with the flow and you know you're uncomfortable, you're not showing up for yourself. This is what I mean. And I have done all of those things throughout my life. Everything I just said, I have put myself in those positions. And this is what I'm saying. When you start facing yourself, when you start owning your shit and stop running, listen back to those shows too. That's when you can start healing. That's when you can empty out all the bullshit that's cluttered up in your life, that's cluttered up in your spirit and your soul. You got to understand that there's always going to be a battle for your spirit and your soul. Why do you think you always hear this stuff about the celebrity world and they say, oh, I sold my soul for this fame and all of this? Is real. It's real. People, when you sell out on yourself and you don't show up for yourself, but you showing up for everybody else and everything else, that's basically selling your soul, you know? When you become codependent on other people to make you feel sufficient, codependent on food to make you feel good, on drugs, on alcohol, on too many video games, playing the games, and going to too many sports, or partying all the time, dealing with different women and different men, and just sex all the time. All of those things are in competition for your soul, for your spirit, to distract you, to keep you from becoming the best you that you were meant to be. And while some might think, oh my gosh, that's a whole lot, basically I moved 5 times and I can't even count 2015 because it was December 2015. So we might as well say 2016 to now. I've moved 5 times. 4 of those times we physically moved furniture, me and my son, by ourselves, except for one of the times his college friends came. 2 of his college friends came to help us when I moved out of the shelter and I had some stuff in storage for us. But other than that, it was just me and him, as it is been about 80-90% of our life, his life rather. And so this is why when people are going through the same thing year after year after year, it's like, at what point are you going to look at you? And as I said in my past shows, and stop pointing the finger. You can only make your life better when you start facing yourself. When you start being honest with yourself and being real with yourself. That's the only time you will start to see change in your life. I had to be honest with myself. I had to show up for myself, you know? And I thank God that I was able to not just focus on all the craziness within those couple years, but I was able to shift and focus on, okay, what good happened out of those couple of years? Well, my son did go to college, and through scholarships, grants, and everything, his tuition was paid. All I had to take care of was room and board. And I'm not saying all, because that's still money, but that was a huge blessing. People were trying to tell me and him that he can't go to college without taking the SAT test. He didn't want to take it. And he worked hard outside of the test to get what he wanted out of life. And God blessed him. God blessed us and allowed him to go to the college of his choice in the midst of all of this chaos in these couple of years. I got my license for insurance and annuities. And if you listen back, I failed that test a few times. But I was able to obtain it finally. I mean, there were so many good things that came out. The fact that I started this podcast show in August of last year, right after I got out the shelter in February and was settled in a new apartment. I got up the nerve. I'm not going to say nerve because I'm not scared or anything, but I showed up for myself. I decided to show up for myself and do what I've been wanting to do for years. And now this show has been going on for 6 months. And this is my 74th episode. All because I showed up for myself. I didn't focus on all those distractions, all the things that people probably would have just died over. Oh my gosh, I'm going in the shelter. Oh my gosh, I gotta move again. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How are we going to get this furniture? It's only me and my son. I know a lot of people would not have been able to endure what we went through. But nobody knew what was going on because, I just keep things to myself, So when my mom came to the last apartment before I decided to move to the Retreat Center Institute, she didn't know all the way up until I was driving her to the apartment. And then I just had to tell her, I was like, listen, yeah, we moved again. Look, we done moved about 2 times before then. And she's like, what? So we're not going to the other place? I was like, no, we moved. There was some issues, but, nevertheless, everything is good. And she like, well, why you didn't tell me? And I said, but why should I? It was something that happened, and I had to handle it, I could have called my brothers, I'm sure, but they got their own life. They're doing good. They got their own families, And I know I have other family members. I'm not sitting up here saying, oh, nobody would have opened up their doors to us, but I'm respectful of other people's lives and other people's issues that they got going on, or, just not being a burden on other people. And I know some people probably be like, oh, well, no. But for me, I'm just the type of person that I got to figure it out. And not only that, I'm raising a young man by myself. So I've always been his mother and his father. So therefore, I have to show him how to handle life when it don't go the way it's planned. So that when he get out there in the world and he gets in a relationship, he know how to man up. You know what I'm saying? So I had to turn into that kind of masculine figure at different times in our life or in his life, so that I can show him, look, handle it, show up for yourself. You ain't got to worry about everybody else showing up. As long as you rely on yourself, it's going to get done at the end of the day. Life might get hard at times, and it's going to be times that you wish you had somebody there to support you and to help you out. But just know, get in the habit of showing up for yourself, counting on yourself. And in this way, if anybody shows up to support you, to help you, that's a bonus. Nobody can let you down. You won't be disappointed. Only person you could be disappointed in is yourself. You don't have nobody to place blame on. So I'm just glad that God blessed me with the energy, the perseverance, the tenacity to endure the life that I've endured before my son and since my son has been here, And I so appreciate him, because through all of the madness, he was patient. He learned. A lot of times he was like, I remember us being in a closet. I was getting things out the closet on when we got evicted. And I could remember him standing there, and I was just like, I was kind of losing it, because I think it had built up. And he just grabbed my arms and was like, looked in my face, was like, Mom, it's me and you. It's me and you. Don't worry about it. Just leave this stuff. We always get it over again. Don't worry about it. Let's go. And when he said that, I was like, wow, he is becoming a man. He is not attached to things. He understands that sometimes you got to let go of some things and know and trust that you'll get it all over again. I could remember when we got evicted, that was, let me see, a Wednesday after I went in there and gave the manager some more money, and I just gave her money the week before, and she told me that we had to get out Friday. And I could remember being so just furious, and it was a lot of people in the office. I knew she was on her showboat, and I know that was why she did what she did. But my mother was there visiting, and I'm like, I cannot go back right now. Let me get myself together. And I drove to this park that was around the corner, and I just sat in the car. And I'm not a crybaby, but I was so overwhelmed that I just started crying like, God, like, what is the deal? I show up for everybody else. I try my best to be there for people, do right by people. I follow whatever dreams, whatever visions. I humble myself. At this point, I had humbled myself and took a job that I would have probably never taken at this point in my life. I mean, at that point in my life, because of the fact that, I didn't have my car to drive. But I just sat there and I just was like, man, what is it? And at that point, I got myself together, went back to the apartment, and told my mom. She didn't know nothing. She didn't know what was going on. And just told her, like, listen, I'm going to drive you to Philly, because this was the week before Christmas. I'm just going to drive you to Philly because I got too much work to do, just to get her out the house, just so I could get my game plan together on me and my son getting the house cleared out. I mean, getting the apartment cleared out. And she never knew. We went through Christmas, went to Philly, and me and my son never said a word. Nobody never expected anything. And, did what we had to do. We had to show up for ourselves. I've just taught him to just be self-sufficient, think outside the box, and also focus on the good out of everything, And the good was that even though all of that stuff went on, we still was able to go and enjoy our family, have some laughter. I had a few days for us to stay in Philly, even though my mom was thinking, well, we were staying for her, but we also were staying because I didn't know where the hell I was going. And I knew where my son was going. He was going with one of my family members that I knew she would not say anything. But for me, I'm like, where the hell I'm going? But nevertheless, I learned more about me. And I know my son learned more about himself. The fact that we were able to keep our composure, knowing everything that was on us. Thank God he was just going to, after the break, he was going straight back to college. So his shelter was cool. But I'm glad that all of that happened. Because at the end of the day, if all of that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't know fully who I am today. All of that had to happen in order to lead me to the place that I am today. In order to lead me to know that there is more to life for me. It's something that I'm missing. There's a reason why the heat was turned up like this on me. There's a reason why all of these things happen back to back like this. And because I chose to take that day, my birthday last year, to just reflect. And that was when I decided, like, you know what? I'm going to do what I wanted to do for all these years. I'm going to go live on Facebook to just get me in the habit to talk to people. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start this podcast from scratch. Whoever show up, show up. Whoever listen, listen. But whoever listen, I want to make sure that they're comfort and they are encouraged and they're motivated. And I'm going to be transparent with my life so that they can see that there is hope. They can see that everything adds up at the end of the day. And then if it wasn't for all of that happening, I wouldn't have realized that, you know what? I really need to get in touch with who I am. I've been living life, for everybody else all these years. I need to find me. Who am I at this time in my life? The things that I wanted years ago for me are changed now. I'm a different person now. I'm more mature. I'm older. What is it that I want out of life? You know? And then that's when I decided, like, I went online and I just did a search. I talked to my son. I'm like, listen, I don't know. I want to get an RV and just tour the world. That was my first thing. I just knew I wanted to do something secluded, something tiny living, something that I can spend time with me. And then when he comes to visit on his breaks, that we have even more intimate time to spend with each other. And then whenever my daughter, my grandkids, or my mom come down, it's all an intimate visit, you know? And he was okay with it. He's like, okay, that sounds cool. But then the RV thing didn't work out. Well, I'm not going to say it didn't work out. It's just that when I went online and searched, the Institute, I saw the website and I'm like, oh, wow, this sounds interesting. I really want to get into holistic remedies. I already was studying that. And I really want to learn more about meditation and yoga, because I know that those are the things that can help you to go more inward. Yes, of course, I pray every day. I have a strong relationship with God, and through meditation, it's even stronger now, you know. But I just knew I wanted to be somewhere where it's not a lot of noise. And I'm so happy that I made that decision. Not only am I happy, my mom's happy, my son's happy. Everybody that's been talking to me notice the difference in me. There are some people, though, that think that this was not a good decision because they don't understand it. But I'm not concerned with people's opinion, because see, when you start showing up for yourself, you don't care what everybody else thinks. You worry about what you think, what's good for you. And so being here and detaching myself from stuff and seeing that life is not all about chasing money and having a whole lot of stuff has allowed me to learn who I am. It has allowed me to start showing up for me. And while I thought I loved myself, I really know I love myself more. Again, because I emptied out all the bullshit in my life, all the past drama, all the past hurt and pain, all the disappointments, rather be from someone else or rather be I disappointed myself. All the unforgiveness that I was holding on to, and I let it all go. My spirit is free. My soul is free. I can't even explain the feeling, And now the things that I have wrote down in my journals in the past, the different dreams and visions that I started that, didn't, come to full fruition, I understand why now. I wasn't ready. I was not ready. And this is what happens when you're not ready, when you're spiritually, mentally, your soul is just not ready. God will protect you by allowing whatever you're working on not to happen. Allowing whatever relationship you're in that's not beneficial for you at that time in your life to just basically be over. This is what happens. So you gotta understand, when you don't show up for yourself, stuff is going to happen. And sometimes you're not going to be able to understand why this stuff is happening. But if you start showing up for yourself, being honest with yourself, facing yourself, you start understanding all those little pieces of the puzzle and how it all comes together. Whether it was something that made you feel bad or something that made you feel good, and it just stopped. You start to understand it. You'll start to get it. You know, you gotta get to a point that you're okay with detoxing yourself from people and situations. You gotta detox yourself from people and situations. Then you can start emptying out. Then you can see the trueness of who you really are start to shine through. Even though you might have been a good person, I've always worked at presenting a kind-hearted person, a good person to people. But now I have boundaries. Now I know how to say no. Now I know how to help people, but set limits. Now I know how to allow people to help themselves and not show up for them more than they're showing up for themselves. Because that's what I used to do. I used to show up for people more than they were showing up for themselves. And then put me on the back burner. But now I know better. And I'm okay with it. And I'm okay with people not being okay with it. You know? So when you get to that point, that's when you know you're showing up for yourself. And you keep that tone and you stick with it. You stick with it. And when you stick with it, anybody that truly love you, support you, got your back, they're going to fall in line. They're going to respect your decisions, and they're not going to question you about it. And this is when you will see who truly has your back, who's truly there for you, and not what you could do for them. But they love you. You, the spirit, the soul. They care about what's going on with you. You know what I'm saying? So, just wanted to talk on that. Y'all know this show is really for that. It's for us to walk into being extraordinary. I changed it from normal to extraordinary because that's what was put on my spirit. So I guess at this time, maybe I just started turning into extraordinary, and all you visionary dreamers have reached the extraordinary level. We always was extraordinary, but I just think that at some point in our life, we have to learn how to embrace that, you know? And so now that I love myself, I know what it looks like to allow somebody to love me the way I know I deserve to be loved. So whether it be friendship, a spouse, anybody, family, friends, I won't take second best on anything, you know? So that's what I want you visionary dreamers to do. I want y'all to start showing up for yourself. Stop showing up for everybody else. Show up for yourself. And I don't mean that in a selfish way. I mean, be logical about this. Who are you showing up for right now that you know wouldn't show up for you in that same way? And that's not why we show up for each other. But at the end of the day, you want to surround yourself with like-minded people. You want to surround yourself with people that's genuine, that really got your back at the end of the day. They really got your back. These are people that if you're stranded, you can call on them and they're going to be there for you. Start eliminating. Start deleting on your cell phone people that's not beneficial to your life, to your growth. Start deleting things that you're doing in your life that's not benefiting you. Anything that you're overindulging in that's not benefiting your growth. Be real with yourself. It's that time that you could be showing up for yourself and learning more about yourself, or learning things that can better yourself. Be honest with yourself. Start showing up for you. And then you'll be better at showing up for the people that really love you and that really matters in your life. You'll be better at showing up for your purpose in this time-space reality. You'll be just better all around the board. And you'll be okay with it. Be confident in it. You'll be strong with it. And people will benefit more from you because it's going to be healthy. You're going to be showing up for them in a healthy way because it's balanced, and that's what it's all about, balancing your life. We got to show up for our loved ones, but just don't cheat yourself. That's all I'm saying. So, I'm going to go now. First I want to say thank you, listeners, visionary dreamers, for always showing up for the show. You show up for yourself when you show up for the show because you know I'm going to give you some good info. That was a little round. Anyway, thank y'all so much for supporting the show. And definitely like, share, subscribe, wherever you're listening. And just continue to do the damn thing. This is Adionne, your dream pusher, your lifeguard, saving you from yourself, saving you from the world, saving you from some real bullshit. And you're listening to Chronicles of Living podcast show, the show for us extraordinary folk, doing the damn thing the best way we can. I love you guys. Talk to y'all on Wednesday. Peace. Thank you for listening to Chronicles of Living, where we talk to everyday people about everyday things in the past, present, and future. And if you are pursuing your dreams, I'm proud of you. Because the best part of life is when you decide to live. To keep up with us, please visit chronicles-of-livin-podcast. Until next time, this is Adionne, your dream pusher. I love you guys.